Hey, in this video, I'm going to talk about a tool called Spriggit. Its goal is to help individual modders as well as modding teams better version their mods utilizing Git rather than maybe the more conventional file sharing. So we've got our mod and we kind of want to start saving the history so that we don't lose content, or if we kind of make changes that we don't like, maybe we can roll back. Well, how do we do that with Spriggit? Well, first we're going to make a Git repository. I brought up a Git client called Git Kraken. You don't have to use this. This is the UI that I use. There's a lot of Git UIs out there, and you can even just use the command line if you so choose, but I find this a lot easier to use. And we want to make a new repository where we're going to store our mod and our mod history. We don't want to open an existing one. We don't want to clone one from the internet. We want to make one. So I'm going to call it Spriggit Demo. It's just made a README. I don't know if that's necessary. And then this is kind of a hidden folder that you can see here, but is kind of where all the history is stored. But this is essentially just an empty folder. So we're going to go, and this is the UI for Spriggit right now. I think it's probably going to be revamped a lot. The file that Xedit has been putting out is here. This is the path to the mod file. And then we want to put in our repository as far as where we want to have Spriggit export the data. And we're going to use YAML just for this demo. So I apply that. This is our entry. So if you sync to the right, it's going to sync to our Git repository. If you sync to the left, it's going to sync from the Git repository to our mod file. Right now we want to sync from our mod file to the Git repository. What are these files that Spriggit has made for us? Well, they're text files. And you can kind of see here that it's got the fact that we've got a master of Skyrim. And this is just what is shown in Xedit. So if you go to the mod header here, it's literally just this, but in text format. And similarly, we've got this weapon that we've overridden. We've got speed of 7.25 and reach or whatever. And that's all in here as well. If we go to the weapons, we see glass bow and all the stats that we can see in Xedit, but now they're text. And why is that important? Well, this folder of now text files is very digestible by Git. So in Git, you can see here it says, hey, you removed the README. You added this record data file. You've added this glass bow file, and you've added this mudcrab file. And we say, yep, we did. We want to save that as our initial mod content. And then we save that. And now this is in our permanent history for forever. And we can't lose it. We can always kind of go back to this. All right, so we've stored our initial mod in Git, and we've got that backed up. But we want to keep on working. And maybe we decide, we went a little too overboard. 7.25 is just a bit much. We're going to actually make this 7. And also the reach, that could go up to 1.1. So we've got a few changes that we want to do. We save this. We can then use Spriggit to convert from that mod to our Git repository. So we click sync to Git, and that's going from the binary file to this text format in our Git repository. So you can see now in our Git repository, we've got changes from 7.25 to 7 and from 1 to 1.1. And so maybe we can save these. Adjusted, glass, bow. And you can see that we've now snapshotted another state in history of how our mod has evolved. All right, so I've fast forwarded a bit and added some more content. You can see I adjusted some furniture, which means I overrode some Skyrim furniture record and modified some stuff. So this is a new file because we overrode a new record. I also did some more glass weapon stat tweaking, so I overrode the glass mace and did some tweaking there. And then I realized that our epic giant mud crab was still level 1, so we modified that to 10. But you can kind of see over time, in a very digestible way, what we've modified in our mod and when I did it. And then also, let's say I pushed out a mod and put it on the Nexus with the version 1.0, and this is our initial release. I've used git tag, which is a Git concept, to tag this commit as our 1.0 release. So I know that this is the version of the mod that 1.0 has. And the cool thing about Git, especially even if you're just an individual, is that you can go back in time. So I can say, I don't want to go look at the mod as it was at 1.0, and I'll just make a jump back branch. Jump branches are just pointers to different points in history. So these are all just kind of snapshots in history. So if I jump back to this point in history and I go to the NPCs and I go to the mud crab, you can see that our level is 1. And then if I go jump back to our main branch, which has got the adjusted level of the mud crab, come in here, says it's been modified, I reload, you can see that the level's 10. So I can kind of go back into history however I want without worry that I'm going to like lose content, because all this content's still here. I'm just teleporting to different points in time. This also empowers a lot of ability to work with other people across the world in a more parallel fashion by pushing this up to the internet. If you've signed into GitHub, you can just make a new repository. So I'm going to make a new repository called Spriggit Demo, and we'll do that now. And you can do this without Gitkraken again, but this is just a nice, easy way to do it. So in MediaGen modding, we got a Spriggit demo, and you can see all the files that we've been working with are here on the internet now. So I can come in here and I've got an NPC. Our Spriggit mud crab is level 10. You can also see that we've got 6 commits, and you can see the history of us working here on the internet. All right, so let's say 1.0 came out and everyone loved it, and we're starting to build a team. And so we tell one of our team members that can they do a pass of all the NPCs AI and kind of, bring them in line and kind of adjust some of their settings to make more sense. So we send them off doing that, and we're going to continue doing our work. So we mentioned we adjusted the level of the mud crab, and that's not in 1.0. And maybe we do something else. Maybe we come back in here and adjust the glass bow a bit. I don't know. We're just very fiddly on this speed, and we're like, no. We were right the first time. Let's go even higher, all the way up to 8. So we save that. We sync it up, reverted, speed. And now that we're on the internet, we're going to push this up. So we push it up to the server. We've got our weapons. We've got our glass bow. And it's now at speed 8. Cool. Good to go. Oh, what's this? Pull requests. We sent our teammate out to do some AI changes, and they're already done. What did they do? Well, did the NPC AI pass as requested? Main difference was the mud crab is more energetic and brave. Since it's so big, it's probably not scared of anything. Okay, cool. So what did they change? Well, kind of come in here. They changed the confidence to brave and energy level. I guess they decreased the energy level. So maybe we could have some discussion here. We could say, did you decrease? Maybe I comment that. And here they are with some fixes. They changed the 45 to 55. And so now we can kind of look at the total changes. Average to brave looks good. Energy level up looks good. And then I had clicked merge on their changes earlier and commented, hey, thanks for making that change. So we're going to take a look at the changes in Gitkraken just to kind of like look at some of the cool things that happened. So 1.0 came out, and then we got some teammates that were interested in helping out. We told them, hey, go work on some AI changes and modify all the NPCs. And then we went and adjusted the level of the mud crab, and then we also modified our glass bow again to be faster. And while we were working, our teammate was modifying the AI of the mud crab. We are able to merge their changes in, even though we had also modified the mud crab. So we modified the mud crab, they modified the mud crab, and Git was able to merge those together just fine. And again, so these are all just text files still. We can come into Spriggit and say, okay, we've done all this work. I've worked on stuff. They've worked on stuff. We've got a bunch of new content. Let's go from our Git repository, which is just text, back to the mod. So we click this, and you can see the mud crab has all the changes that we worked on. It's level 10. It's brave. It's got an energy level of 55. This is the product of 2 people working in parallel at the same time on the same record. So while I have you here, I'm going to kind of go over some of the stuff that Git can do for us now that our mod is in Git. And one of them is called file history. So I can select the mud crab file and click on file history. This is all the changes throughout the entire life cycle of this file. So we added the file initially at the start of the video, and then we adjusted the level to 10, and then our teammate adjusted it to brave 45, and then we complained that they didn't do it right, and they fixed it to 55. And then I think this is the merge. You can kind of get a feel for how this record has evolved over time, thanks to Git in a very easy, digestible fashion. Similarly, there's stuff like blame, or if we want to get mad at who changed the level to 10, we can kind of click on that, and it'll show us the commit where that happened. And we say, oh yeah, I did do that on the 13th at 8:20 p.m. That was me. Whoops. So that's Spriggit in a nutshell. Spriggit powers the ability to store binary ESP Bethesda files as text files instead, so that we can use Git and all the tools that Git provides. There's a wealth of knowledge on the powers of Git and what it's able to do. Almost every single code developer on the planet uses it, and so it has a lot of functionality that can facilitate a lot of complex workflows and parallel development from a lot of users. And hopefully Spriggit is able to bring that sort of power to the modding community for single people that are just wanting to keep themselves more organized and kind of have a backup that's a little bit more fancy than just a bunch of files and folders, to massive teams that want to have a lot of parallel development that's able to be merged cleanly. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave you a lot of ideas on how you might use it to improve your workflow as well as the projects that you're working on. Definitely give it any feedback, and I'll see you around.